After learning that it was Chen Xiang's soul poison, Ying Qingfan's face turned grim. She never imagined that they were ambushed. After investigating, Ying Qingfan's mood became even heavier. The opponent's cultivation was likely not weaker than her own. They had been hiding beneath the ground, waiting for an opportunity to target the geniuses of the 5 academies. Furthermore, the attacker was extremely cautious and fled as soon as they had triggered the Chen Xiang soul poison. What was worse was that the targets were Yang Chen, Jianwuke, Wen Kuang, and Wen Xiaozhou. Clearly, the opponent had a detailed understanding of the Donglin Academy's information. Who is it? Wen Hai, who is it? Yang Chen, Jianwuke, and the Wen siblings were ambushed right under his nose. After giving a brief explanation, Ying Qingfan had no time to pay attention to Wen Hai. She used her divine sense to investigate the situation of Yang Chen and the others. However, to Ying Qingfan's surprise, her divine sense was blocked the moment she touched Yang Chen and Jianwuke. The situation of Wen Kuang and Wen Xiaozhou was clear. The Chen Xiang soul poison was eroding their souls, causing big trouble. There were, of course, antidotes for the Chen Xiang soul poison, but only the Dongyang Dao Palace possessed them. These were strategic resources that ordinary people could not obtain. Fortunately, the venue was not far away. The cultivators in charge of the competition would definitely have antidotes for the Chen Xiang soul poison. Yang Chen coldly snorted, feeling furious. He had actually become a targeted by the 7 Stars Sacred Hall. He never imagined that he would encounter them so soon after learning about their existence. However, using Chen Xiang's soul poison against him was clearly a miscalculation. It seemed that the opponent had some knowledge of the Donglin Academy's important information, but they clearly did not know much about Yang Chen. Yang Chen's ability to cure Wen Kuang's Chen Xiang soul poison was not a secret among the upper-level cultivators of the Donglin Prefecture. Little K, how are you? Yang Chen quickly asked as the black soul seed devoured the Chen Xiang soul poison that had entered his body. Bro, I'm fine. The Chen Xiang soul poison didn't even reach my sea of consciousness. It was purified by my demonic true origin. Jianwuke seemed a bit displeased with the Chen Xiang soul poison, showing a hint of contempt. That's good. Yang Chen sighed in relief, marveling at the power of Jianwuke's demonic true origin. It could even assimilate the Chen Xiang soul poison. Are you guys okay? Yang Chen, pretending to be concerned, walked towards Wen Kuang and Wen Xiaozhou, placing his hands on their shoulders. At the same time, he activated the Devourer ability, absorbing all of the Chen Xiang soul poison within their souls. Of course, during the process, Wen Kuang and Wen Xiaojiao's soul power was slightly affected. A bit of their soul power was drained, along with the Chen Xiang soul poison, all devoured by Yang Chen. Ying Qingfan, with a serious expression, turned to Elder One and said, Wen Hai, they'll suppress the Chen Xiang soul poison in their 4 souls for now. Once we reach the Lubuan grasslands, he'll get the antidote. Thank you, Princess. Elder One also calmed down, responding calmly, as he had complete faith in Yang Chen. He knew that Yang Chen was able to save Wen Kuang from the depths of Chen Xiang's soul poison after 10 years. How much more so now? Wen Kuang suddenly slapped his chest and laughed. No need, old man. The puny Chen Xiang soul poison is nothing. I'm fine. Fine. Ying Qingfan was a bit confused. However, when she investigated Wen Kuang and Wen Xiaozhou again, she was dumbfounded. What was happening? After thinking for a moment, Ying Qingfan understood and looked deeply at Yang Chen, feeling ecstatic. If there weren't so many people around, she probably would have burst out laughing. Yang Chen was actually able to instantly neutralize the Chen Xiang soul poison. He had many secrets. It's good that you're all okay, Ying Qingfan said before disappearing, reappearing at the front of the group and continuing to lead the way. This time, Ying Qingfan was even more cautious, expanding her investigation range, especially under the ground. Elder Wen, a little uneasy, investigated Wen Kuang and Wen Xiaozhou again. After confirming that no Chen Xiang soul poison remained, he finally calmed down. At the same time, he warned Yang Chen and the others, be extra careful. The damned 7 Stars Sacred Hall was targeting them. Yang Chen was thinking even more. This time, he had learned that the 7 Stars Sacred Hall was a powerful force with many strong individuals. Even the people sent to attack the Donglin Academy were this formidable. It was not hard to imagine that their cultivation was not weaker than Ying Qingfan's. Reaching the middle of the spirit realm. Otherwise, they would not have been able to bypass the prince's senses and successfully retreat after setting a trap. While continuing towards the Lubuan grasslands, Yang Chen began to worry, both for the future of the human race and for himself. The human race was not only facing the almost insurmountable threat of foreign enemies, but also traitors like the 7 Stars Sacred Hall. Their future was bleak. In the future, once he was powerful enough, he would definitely eradicate the 7 Stars Sacred Hall. However, Yang Chen would probably never guess that he was the main target of the 7 Stars Sacred Hall. Half a day later, the Donglin cultivators, led by Ying Qingfan, entered the Lubuan grasslands. The boundless Lubuan grasslands gave Yang Chen a familiar feeling. It was very familiar. As they went deeper into the grasslands, Yang Chen was certain that the entrance to the ninth ring of the outer realm, which the Tianji family had opened last time, should be located somewhere here. There was actually an entrance to a foreign realm here. Yang Chen found it terrifying. Fortunately, the Tianji family had already sealed the passage. However, it was better to be safe than sorry. If the war demons of the ninth ring were to seize the passage and reopen it, the entire eastern continent would surely be plunged into a catastrophe. And the first to bear the brunt would be Donglin. The Lubuan grasslands were larger than he had imagined. It took Yang Chen and the other cultivators from Donglin 2 full days to reach their destination. This place was close to the center of the grasslands. Aside from the 10,000 cultivators from Donglin, there was no one else. Ying Qingfan immediately noticed the 5 stone steels scattered across the area. Finding the one with the Donglin emblem, Ying Qingfan ordered the Donglin cultivators to line up behind it. After some time, another large group of people appeared in the distance, from the direction of Yang Chen and the others. The group was estimated to be no less than strong, from the Chongqing prefecture. Old man Long, you're still doing well, I see. What? Did you only bring this many people? Oh, you're just the leftovers, the last in the rankings. So many talents have withered, eh? The leader of the Chongqing prefecture's cultivators was an old man, his words laced with mockery. Ying Qingfan snorted coldly, Lang Kuan, don't get ahead of yourself. Do you have enough confidence? Why don't we raise the stakes a bit? Lang Kuan laughed. That sounds great. To think that the usually cautious Ying Qingfan would actually dare to raise the stakes. She must have some tricks up her sleeve. But it's a shame that the Changqing Academy has also produced a few talents worth mentioning. Let's hear your terms, then. Ying Qingfan replied without any hesitation, let's bet on the rankings. The faction with the better ranking in the family ranking will win. How about it? Okay. Lang Kuan readily agreed, a hint of slyness in his eyes. How about spirit stones? 100 is too small. 500. Ying Qingfan, are you serious? Lang Kuan no longer dared to be careless. 100 spirit stones was nothing to him, but 500 was enough to hurt him. If they won, everything was fine, but what if they lost? Lang Kuan hesitated. Ying Qingfan was clearly very confident. This old witch is daring to bet so heavily, she must have something up her sleeve. But according to the information we recently received, there are no outstanding students in the Donglin Academy. Even if the old witch has been secretly nurturing some talents these past few months, how much can they improve? Should I accept it? I've already said those words. If I don't accept it, I'll lose face in front of the whole of the eastern continent. Fine, I accept. 500. Lang Kuan agreed. However, Lang Kuan soon regretted his decision. Because the princesses of the Tuanfeng Academy, the Wuhu Academy, and the Jiangdu Academy arrived, they followed Ying Qingfan and made the same bet, each betting spirit stones. With all 4 academies betting simultaneously, the total was spirit stones. If they lost, Ying Qingfan would definitely go bankrupt. She would lose her entire fortune. Ying Qingfan was going all out. No, it couldn't be. He must have absolute confidence, otherwise he wouldn't be risking his life. That's right, it was divine stones. For Ying Qingfan, it was definitely a gamble with his life. Not only did Buiju know, but when they heard that Ying Qingfan was gambling with 4 houses, Lang Chang, Chen Tianyang, and each of the 3 princesses also arrived. Thus, the atmosphere became strangely tense. The competition hadn't even started yet, but it was already filled with the scent of gunpowder. In a flash, 2 days passed. Early that morning, the 5 princesses stood before the corresponding time periods, gazing up at the sky. Whoosh! A sound of something tearing through the air came. Directly, 2 huge, shimmering swords came flying from the distance. The 2 giant swords were almost identical in size and shape, each about 3 meters long with wide blades. Moreover, each of the swords was being ridden by someone. They floated in the air, their steps steady. The cultivators from the Wu family stood behind the martial arts stone tablets, surrounding half of the 5 square formations. In the center was a giant grassy plaza. In the high sky, the 2 sword-riding cultivators slowly descended. At the same time, the giant swords beneath their feet disappeared, suspended in midair. One of them, a handsome middle-aged man, scanned the entire arena. Instantly, everyone felt a strange sensation, as if a spring breeze had caressed them. A strange warmth settled in their hearts. Impressive. Yang Chen thought to himself. Just by looking at them, this man had affected the minds of nearly cultivators. This seemingly handsome middle-aged man was not simple. The world produces talented people. After a highly infectious opening, the handsome middle-aged man said, "You were born in a great era. Blood boiling, strong, unyielding. This is the mark of our human race. And I aspire to be your guide. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Chu Weiqiang. The Chu that's not going to leave you, the great Chu, the powerful Chu. Everyone, including Yang Chen, almost burst out laughing. This guy was so narcissistic when introducing himself. He was definitely unique and unprecedented. But Ying Qingfan and the other 5 princesses had serious faces, like obedient students listening intently. The young man beside the handsome middle-aged man, Chu Weiqiang, rolled his eyes but restrained himself from saying anything. After the introduction, Chu Weiqiang scanned the crowd and smiled. Where's the applause? Where is the applause? Do you think my name is not nice, or do you not plan to welcome me? Clap 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 clap. The always quick Ying Qingfan was the first to applaud. Lang Chang, Chen Tianyan, Buiju, and Gubai followed. How could they dare to delay? They started applauding and glared at the instructors and students behind them. Clap clap clap. The applause was loud and long. Chu Weiqiang was very satisfied with the applause, and his eyes narrowed as he seemed to be remembering something from the past. The young man standing behind Chu Weiqiang, the man with a black sword, took a step back and looked at the sky as if he didn't know Chu Weiqiang. After enjoying the applause, Chu Weiqiang said seriously, as the main examiner for the TH exam area, you should all be honored. Before the competition begins, I have something to announce. Listen carefully. The young cultivator with the black sword immediately had a bad feeling. If it wasn't for the credits, he wouldn't have come to this crazy place to see Chu Weiqiang. But Chu Weiqiang said, you may not know, but the reason the academy reformed and expanded its recruitment is because I lobbied hard, but that's not all. To convince the old guys at the academy, I even invested a large number of my personal credits, but at the same time, it also provides huge benefits to some of you. Once you pass and become a new Dao Palace student, you will receive free credits. I don't want much, only 10 credits from the students of my faction, and 5 credits from other factions. It will barely make up for my losses. Ah. What? Yang Chen and the others didn't know what the Dao Palace credits meant, but the 5 princesses, including Ying Qingfan, who were from the Dao Palace, were shocked. That was too much. And he was demanding it openly. What? Do you 5 have a problem? Chu Weiqiang was annoyed as he glared at Ying Qingfan and the other 5 princesses with a threatening gaze. It was as if he was saying, if you ruin my plans, you will suffer. No, no. Realizing how terrifying this person was, Ying Qingfan and the others said in unison, this man was a titled God King, the Mad King. Although the title was somewhat unpleasant, he was a famous and terrifying madman, who was renowned even outside the academy. The key was that Chu Weiqiang's title was shameless, which you could imagine meant that he had no bottom line. The young man with the black sword thought to himself, so this guy is the shameless king. You must also be getting some credits from this extortion, right? Chu Weiqiang retorted, what do you think? He foo. Are you still asleep or are you dreaming? I'm bringing you to earn some free credits. Are you still not satisfied? If it weren't for me, would you have gotten such an easy mission? The young man with the black sword was He Fu. It would be foolish to offend this shameless man for a few credits, so He Fu chose to remain silent. After establishing his rules, Chu Weiqiang turned to He Fu with a dark face and said, do it. It's your turn now. He Fu almost cursed out loud. That was just too much. That guy got all the benefits and didn't even do any work. This was completely shameless. Unfortunately, his fist was not bigger than Chu Weiqiang's, so he couldn't turn his back. He wasn't sure if Chu Weiqiang would beat him up in public. Helpless, He Fu grit his teeth and reluctantly scanned the area before a huge tower appeared. A jade tower landed on the ground with a loud thud. It was a 3-story white jade tower with a closed door and a character engraved on it. The Heavenly Gate Tower. Many of the 5 great princesses who had participated in the Heavenly Gate battle exclaimed. In the past, those who survived the brutal Heavenly Gate battle were the only ones who could become students of the Eastern Dao Palace. However, before entering the Eastern Dao Palace, there was a comprehensive test which was said to involve entering the Heavenly Gate Tower. Today, the Wu family's martial arts students were seeing it with their own eyes. Yan Chen also looked at the Heavenly Gate Tower with awe. Clearly, the Heavenly Gate Tower was a spiritual treasure, and a very powerful one at that. Undoubtedly, each of the exam areas would have one Heavenly Gate Tower for this recruitment. After the Heavenly Gate Tower landed, He Fu announced, all of the martial arts students participating in the exam, line up according to your registration numbers and enter the Heavenly Gate Tower. For testing, 100 people can enter at once. The Heavenly Gate Tower will display your rankings once the test is complete. After a pause, He Fu continued, the rankings are divided into A and B lists. Those who make either list will qualify for cultivation in the Dao Palace. The selection will now begin, starting with the Changqing House. The 5 princesses of Chongqing, Buiju, and others called out their students behind them. 100 people entered the arena at a time. Xu Weiqiang, who seemed to have forgotten that the competition had begun, closed his eyes and seemed to be napping. As the main examiner, it seemed he wasn't concerned about the competition at all. But unknown to them, deep underground outside the competition area, 2 dark figures were hiding hundreds of meters below. One of the figures said resentfully, "Damn, it's actually the Shameless King. Should we postpone our plan?" The other dark figure said in a low voice, "For the long term, we should play it safe. If the Shameless King discovers our presence, it will be difficult for us to escape his pursuit. I don't believe he'll stay here forever. I'm sure that after the competition ends, the Shameless King will leave. Then, our opportunity will come. But before he leaves, we must not reveal the aura of number." Meanwhile, at the competition site, 100 students from the Changqing house had already entered the Heavenly Gate Tower. At that moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on the Heavenly Gate Tower. The martial arts princesses, including Ying Qingfan, were also very nervous, wondering who would make the list for the Eastern Dao Palace this time. They could only wait patiently for the Heavenly Gate Tower to reveal the results. Suddenly, the 3-story Heavenly Gate Tower began to tremble and emit a blue light. The blue light instantly formed a light screen on the right side of the Heavenly Gate Tower, and words appeared. Zhuhan points, Feng Dongming points, Zheng Kai points. These 3 were clearly outstanding. Others might not feel anything, but Buiju, one of the princesses of Chongqing, was shocked. Most of the 100 students who entered the Heavenly Gate Tower were the elites and geniuses of Chongqing. Zhuhan, Feng Dongming, and Zheng Kai had reached the Gold Realm and had extremely high potential. They never expected that among the first people, only these 3 would make the list, and they were all on the B list. This showed that although this Eastern Dao Palace recruitment was not the brutal Heavenly Gate battle, the initial standards were similar. It seemed that very few people from the Changqing house would be able to get into the Dao Palace this time. However, things didn't go as expected. After the Hua brothers, the teams of people from the Tuanfeng house entered one after another, but no one managed to get on the list. The number of people on the B list was also very small. There were only people. Compared with Chongqing, they were far behind. Despite this, Princess Lang Chang was very happy. It was because she was about to receive divine stones from Ying Qingfan, a considerable fortune. He Fu's expression softened a little. After all, there were at least 2 decent geniuses from his house who managed to get onto the B list. Those who had refined their entire body with divine bones were rarely seen even in the Heavenly Gate battle. The time slowly moved, and He Fu announced, "The 3rd day of the competition is beginning." The princess of Wuhu House, Chen Tianyang, walked in. She had the first team of people enter the competition area. However, a moment later, she was staring at the Heavenly Gate Tower with an ugly expression. There were only 4 people on the list, and all of them were on the B list. It should be known that Chen Tianyang of Wuhu House had more than a dozen students she was confident in, all of whom had been placed in the first group. There were a good number of Emperor Realm cultivators among them. But now, only 4 people had made the list. It was unbelievable. Chen Tianyang and his followers, and all his students were getting restless. The first group of students were the elite of the Wuhu house, but only 4 of them made it onto the list. Was the requirement for making the list raised? As expected, 3 more teams of people entered the competition arena after Wuhu house. No one made the list. As the later teams of people entered the arena, their results were even more dismal. There were just a few who managed to climb onto the B list. It seemed that Wuhu's performance was no longer on the same level as that of Changqing and Tuanfeng. However, when it was Chen Tianyang's turn, the students of the 5 sects made it onto the list one after another. Especially, something strange happened when one team of people entered the Heavenly Gate Tower. Suddenly, several more people made the list. Even Princess Chen Tianyang was shocked. This wasn't the end of the matter. A young student named Gu Qiusheng, with only a yellow realm cultivation, actually made it onto the A list, with an incredible score of points. This exceeded the Tuanfeng House's Hua brothers, and he became the first in the A list, shocking everyone. Yang Chen was also very curious. This so-called Gu Qiusheng, his Botus bones were not even as strong as needles. His hollow bones were only a partial part of his body, yet his score exceeded Huazhen's. It seemed the Heavenly Gate Tower's test was special. Refining one's divine bones would add to the score. And to get on the A list, one must have refined the bones, but that was not everything. Yang Chen was certain that Gu Qiusheng had other forces within him that had been recognized by the Heavenly Gate Tower. Another day passed quickly. All the students from the Mofu house had finished their assessment. People made the B list. Gu Qiusheng was first on the A list. If things were to go according to the current order, then the next to be tested would be Jiangdu House. Over the last 3 days, Yang Chen had heard many analyses. Everyone was convinced that the Wufu House's performance was not the best amongst the other houses. In terms of power and strength, the Jiangdu House was the strongest, so everyone was anticipating to see their results. The entire arena was stunned when the first group of students entered the Heavenly Gate Tower. Of them actually made it onto the B list. This unbelievable feat was beyond even the chief examiner. He fuss expectations. Even the true chief examiner, the shameless king, Xu Weicheng, was surprised by this result. But it was just a glance at the students from Jiangdu before he went back to his nap. But for the Jiangdu princess, she had placed the most elite students of her house in the first group of students. Although of them made the list, none were on the A list, which disappointed her. If no one from Jiangdu made it onto the A list, it would be embarrassing for her. As the groups of people went through the test, Gubai became more and more disappointed as no one else managed to get onto the A list. The test was moving quickly, and only the last team was left. It was the last batch of students from Jiangdu. Gubai sighed. She did not understand why, although there were a few who had refined their divine bones from Jiangdu, they were still unable to reach the A list. She had given up hope on this last group. She was sure that no one in Jiangdu could make it onto the A list. A moment later, these last few participants had entered the competition arena. The people entering the Heavenly Gate Tower now were really useless. Not a single one had made it onto the B list. But then, as the Heavenly Gate Tower opened, the crowd started to exclaim. Although the B list remained unchanged. A new name had been added to the A list, and it was the highest on the list, even higher than Guqiuxing. Lu Wan Points had refined 4 of his bones. Yang Chen was watching carefully. This Jiangdu student named Lu Wan had only refined 4 of his bones, yet he had reached the top. Yang Chen felt rather curious and wanted to enter the Heavenly Gate Tower immediately to see exactly how it worked. It could not be denied, the Jiangdu students were very strong. Seats of the B list were held by students from this house. Although they only had 1 student on the A list, he was number 1. With a sigh, Gubai looked at the expression of the 5 princesses, as if to say, how about that? Are your divine stones ready? He Fu looked towards Ying Qingfan, and announced, this is the 5th day of the competition, and also the final day. It's time for the Donglin house to take the stage. Let them in. Ying Qingfan, who had already made his preparations, waved his hand, and Ying Zhen led the first group of people into the arena. Meng Quan was also in this group. Yang Chen, Jianwak, and Wen Xiaojiao could only watch from afar as the students from the 5 houses entered the competition area. The cultivation level of the first group of students was exceptional. There were 17 who had reached the Emperor realm. This was practically the most elite group in the Donglin house. However, when the test concluded and the Heavenly Gate Tower opened, Ying Qingfan's calm expression instantly disappeared. What was happening? There were only 5 new names on the B list. Moreover, apart from Ying Zhen who was ranked higher, the other 4 were almost at the bottom. Then, looking towards the A list, he saw Meng Quan points, and had refined 4 of his bones. Meng Quan had made it onto the A list, in 2nd place. It was not as expected. After Hua Zhen and the Hua brothers, no one else from the Tuanfeng house had made it onto the A list. The number of people who had made it onto the B list was low, only. Compared to the Changqing house, they were much worse. Despite this, Princess Leng Chang was happy. She was happy because she would soon get divine stones from Ying Qingfan, a large sum of money. He Fu's expression improved slightly. After all, there were finally 2 relatively talented people from his house. Those who had refined their entire bodies, with the exception of those who had refined their bones, were extremely rare even in the Heavenly Gate battle. And with He Fu's announcement, the competition of the 3rd day had come to an end. The heart of Chen Tianyang sank. He immediately had the first 100-man team enter the arena. However, after a moment, Chen Tianyang, who was staring intently at the Heavenly Gate Tower, didn't look very pleased. Only 4 people made it onto the list, and they were all at the entry level. He had placed more than a dozen talented students he valued, including some with emperor-level cultivation, in the first 100-man team. Now that only 4 people had made it onto the list, it was unbelievable. The other officials, standing beside Chen Tianyang, also began to feel uneasy. The first team was supposed to be filled with elite students, but only 4 had made it onto the list. Was the standard for being listed getting higher? Indeed, the following 3 teams from Wufu did even worse, with barely anyone making it onto the list. Subsequent teams also produced dismal results, with only an occasional student making it onto the list. It seemed that the Wufu's martial arts skills were not on the same level as the Changqing or Huanfeng martial arts. However, just as Chen Tianyang was frowning, students from the 5 sects entered the arena and performed well. Strangely, one team from the 5 sects even had more than a dozen students make it onto the list, leaving Chen Tianyang stunned. And then, a young student named Gu Qiusheng, with Yellow Realm cultivation, shockingly reached the top of the list. His score was points, surpassing the previous leaders, Huazhen and Huai, and claiming the top spot on the list. The whole arena was in an uproar. Yang Chen was also surprised. Gu Qiusheng, whose divine spirit cultivation was not as strong as Huazhen's, was now at the top of the list. He had only trained his body, yet his score surpassed Huazhen's. It seemed that the Heavenly Gate Tower assessment was unusual. Strengthening one's divine spirit can indeed increase the score, but one needs more than that to reach the top of the list. Yang Chen was certain that Gu Qiusheng had some other power, recognized by the Heavenly Gate Tower, which had increased his score. Another day passed quickly. All of the Wufus students had completed their assessment, with about of them making it onto the list, mostly at the 5 sects level. Gu Qiusheng was at the top of the list. Following the order, it should now be the turn of the Jiangdu Fu. In the past 3 days, Yang Chen had heard a lot of analysis. Everyone believed that the Jiangdu Fu students had the strongest overall ability. Indeed, the Jiangdu Fu students stunned the whole arena as soon as they entered the assessment. The first 100-man team had students make it onto the list. This unbelievable result surprised not only the examiners but also the actual head examiner, Xu Weichang. However, he just glanced at the Jiangdu Fu students and continued to rest. But Gu Bai, the leader of Jiangdu Fu, wasn't satisfied. He had placed most of the elite students in the first 100-man team. Although people making it onto the list was impressive, the fact that no one had reached the top of the list disappointed him. If no one from Jiangdu Fu reached the top, it would be a disgrace. As one team after another entered the assessment, Gu Bai became more anxious. Still, no one made it to the top of the list. The assessment was progressing quickly. Only the last team was left, not even 100 people. This was the last batch from Jiangdu Fu. Gu Bai sighed. He was confused. Although there were some in the Jiangdu Fu who had cultivated their divine spirit, why couldn't they reach the top of the list? As for this last team, he had no hope. Could it be that no one from Jiangdu Fu would reach the top of the list? A moment passed, and this last team performed even worse. No one even made it onto the list. However, as the Heavenly Gate Tower activated its aura, everyone exclaimed in shock. Although nothing else had changed, a new name had appeared at the top of the list, surpassing Gu Qiusheng. Lu Huan, with a score of, had completed his 4th bone strengthening. Yang Chen stared at the list, pondering. Lu Huan, a student of Jiangdu Fu, had only completed his 4th bone strengthening, but he had reached the top. Yang Chen felt a little apologetic but was also curious and wanted to enter the Heavenly Gate Tower to see what was going on. Jiangdu Fu performed very well, taking spots on the list. Although the list was only a guide, it showed that they were indeed the strongest. Gu Bai, relieved, looked at Ying Qingfan, thinking, "Old man, are you ready to lose?" As the head examiner, He Fu, turned to look at Ying Qingfan, the assessment entered its 5th day. The last day, it was Dong Lin's turn. Ying Qingfan, who had made his arrangements, waved his hand. The first team from Dong Lin entered the arena. Wen Kong was also in the first team, while Yang Chen, Jianwok, and Wen Xiaojiao could only watch with longing eyes. The first team from Dong Lin had students at the Yellow Realm, considered the elite of Dong Lin. However, when the assessment ended and the Heavenly Gate Tower activated, Ying Qingfan looked surprised. What was going on? Only 5 names had been added to the list. Ying Zhang's name was higher, but the other 4 were at the bottom of the list. Amidst the shock, Ying Qingfan looked at the top of the list. Men Kuang, points, 4 bones strengthened. Men Kuang had made it onto the top of the list, taking 2nd place. Seeing Men Kuang at the 2nd place, Ying Qingfan breathed a sigh of relief. His biggest hope was Yang Chen and Jianwok, who hadn't entered the arena yet. He believed that these two would shine, and this assessment would be an opportunity for Jianwok to show his talent. At the same time, besides Gu Bai from Jiangdu Fu, the other 3 leaders, Gu Yijuan, Lang Chang, and Chen Tianyang, looked extremely upset. The fact that Dong Lin had only sent one team made them lose their bet with Ying Qingfan. Each of them had to give spirit stones, and that was a lot. Among the 5 clans participating in the assessment, the Dong Lin clan had the fewest students, not even. The majority of Dong Lin students were mediocre, with no hope of making it onto the list. Soon, Ying Qingfan's face darkened as the following 4 teams produced no one on the list. Some of the students had even been recognized by Ying Qingfan and had reached the Yellow Realm, but they had still failed. Would Dong Lin have the fewest people on the list among the 5 clans? As if to prove everyone's speculation, the following teams from Dong Lin had only 1 or 2 students making it onto the list. Yang Chen, who was in the last team, focused all his attention, and discovered that many familiar faces had made it onto the list. Ru Yan, Lan Feng, and others had decent rankings, not in the top spots, but still on the list. After almost half of the Dong Lin students had completed their assessment, only students, excluding Men Kuang, had made it onto the list. This clearly showed that, in overall strength, the Donglin clan was significantly weaker than the other 4 clans. Just as everyone was accepting this fact, the Donglin students suddenly exploded with power. Every single one of the remaining teams had members make it onto the list. The strange thing was that all of these students were from the 5 sects. By the end, the number of Donglin students on the list reached, which stunned everyone. While everyone was in shock, they looked at the Donglin student teams. Only the last team had yet to enter the arena. Once this last team entered and completed the assessment in the 12th district would come to a complete end. After watching Yang Chen and the others enter, Ying Qingfan was uncertain. He was unsure if Yang Chen and Jianwuk would be able to reach the top of the list. If they couldn't even make it onto the list, it would be a joke. With Ying Qingfan nervously watching, the last team from Donglin entered the Heavenly Gate Tower. The moment he entered, Yang Chen found that he couldn't move and was being bathed in a strong white light. Even more surprisingly, the light carried a unique energy that ignored his physical defense and bloodline protection, entering his body. It penetrated his dantian and soul, which was unbelievable. However, Yang Chen decided not to expel this strange energy from his body. He knew that this was a special power of the Heavenly Gate Tower, probably a divine force that had a testing effect. But Yang Chen didn't know that. Among the students that entered the tower, only he and Jianwuk could use the powerful white light to improve, while the others were submerged in it. A stick of incense's worth of time passed in a flash. Then, as the Heavenly Gate Tower's gates opened, the 3-story tower started shaking and emitted a crimson light. Quickly! The crimson light formed a curtain of light above the Heavenly Gate Tower. The crimson curtain looked as if it was formed by blood, with an eerie aura. This scene stunned all of the cultivators, even Shu Wei Chang, who had been resting, opened his eyes, revealing his divine might. Everyone stared intently at the crimson light curtain above the Heavenly Gate Tower. There were golden words on it. Yang Chen, points, complete divine spirit strengthening, divine spirit reversed. Jianwuk, points, for bones strengthened, 1 tendon strengthened, divine spirit reversed. The golden words shone brightly on the crimson light curtain. Shu Wei Chan flew into the air and with a wave of his hand, shattered the light curtain above the tower. The shattered energy caused the crimson light to disappear. Then, Shu Wei Chang, with a serious face and divine aura, announced loudly, the Heavenly Gate Tower has completed its task. The assessment is now over. Students on the list can proceed to the Eastern Palace for 3 months of training. He Fu also displayed his divine aura, immobilizing everyone. He warned sternly, no one is allowed to spread the word about what happened at the Heavenly Gate Tower. Violators will be severely punished. Now, let's begin with the 5-star rankings. All of the cultivators, except for the 5 leaders, were confused. However, no one dared to voice any objections and immediately swore not to spread the news. As for Ying Qingfan and the other 4 leaders, they were stunned like statues. These students didn't know the implications of the announcement, but the 5 of them, who were from the Eastern Dao Kingdom, understood the importance of a divine sign. Therefore, Ying Qingfan and the others decided to keep their mouths shut. They wouldn't dare to spread the news. Apart from the Heavenly Gate Tower, when Xia Jiao's name was also on the list. She looked around, but, where were Yang Chen and Jianwuk? They had entered the Heavenly Gate Tower together. Why hadn't they come out? She had made it onto the list. There was no reason for Yang Chen and Jianwuk not to. It was bizarre. Neither their names could be found on the main or the lower list. Also, what was going on with the 2 officials? They were exuding such a terrifying divine aura. Was something bad about to happen? With Shu Wei Chang's order, the 3-story Heavenly Gate Tower rapidly shrank, instantly turning into a miniature tower. Dragging the mini Heavenly Gate Tower, Shu Wei Chang said urgently, let's go. Quickly! Shu Wei Chang and He Fu, the 2 officials from the Eastern Dao Palace, took to the air and disappeared in a flash. Men Kuang was anxious. He quickly appeared in front of Ying Qingfan and asked urgently, leader, where did they go? Yang Chen and Jianwuk haven't come out yet. Before Men Kuang could say another word, Ying Qingfan warned him sternly, shut up. Never mention this again. Men Hai, realizing the seriousness of the matter, also warned Men Kuang, don't say any more. Men Kuang and Wen Xiaojio were confused. What did the leaders mean? Yang Chen and Jianwuk hadn't come out, so why couldn't they talk about it? What was the crimson light on the Heavenly Gate Tower? Why did the 2 officials from the Eastern Dao Palace seem so worried? Although the other cultivators were also confused, those who had made it onto the list were ecstatic. They were now students of the Eastern Dao Palace. Those who didn't make it onto the list, especially those who had reached the Yellow Realm, were worried. They didn't know if there would be another recruitment in the future. The 5 leaders looked anxious, which caused the students and their families to start to leave the arena. Miles away, deep underground, 2 figures in black robes moved after a while. One of the black-robed figures said, that's right, absolutely right. The Heavenly Gate Tower actually showed a bloodline vision. Someone with the potential of a divine general is about to appear. Actually too, how is that possible? The other black-robed figure was still in disbelief. After a few seconds, the black-robed figure seemed to suddenly realize something and screamed, quickly. Send a message to the clan. Tell the clan master to issue a kill order. Have King Bu Qi immediately go to the Eastern Dao Palace with the 2 divine generals. Kill them at all costs. On the other side, Xu Weichang and He Fu had already left the Luban grassland. In a blink of an eye, they were hundreds of miles away. Suddenly, Xu Weichang's body appeared in a space that had been violently distorted, with an expression of extreme coldness. He said to He Fu, "We can't continue like this. Those bastards from the 7 Emotions sect will surely catch up. We need to split up. You take the Heavenly Gate Tower and go east. I will continue to go straight to the palace." He Fu asked, puzzled, "Chang, if I go east, wouldn't I be going farther away? Who are you calling Chang?" Xu Weichang's expression changed, but at this critical moment, he couldn't bother with such things. He said quickly, "You're so stupid. Going east, you will find a relatively safe city where you can teleport to the Dao City. That's how we will succeed." He Fu immediately understood. "All right." He Fu, not hesitating, immediately broke through space and disappeared. Xu Weichang, not daring to delay, broke through space and headed west. Everywhere they passed, the space was violently distorted. After traveling thousands of miles, He Fu appeared in a desolate wasteland. No, this can't continue. He had already sensed that there were people locked onto him a few hundred miles away, and their cultivation was strong. What should I do? Yang Chen, deep within the Heavenly Gate Tower, had clearly sensed everything that was happening outside and understood that he and Jianluck were in danger. Sensing a strange divine sense, Yang Chen immediately said, "Sir, let us out. Hurry." Although He Fu was very anxious, he still controlled the Heavenly Gate Tower to release Yang Chen and Jianluck. He said urgently, "Speak quickly. I'm giving you 3 breaths time." Looking at He Fu's anxious face, Yang Chen knew that the situation was more serious than he thought. The pursuers were strong. "Sir," Yang Chen said quickly, "you must continue east with the Heavenly Gate Tower. Jianluck and I will hide nearby." He Fu stared at Yang Chen like he was stupid. He said, "Do you think you can hide if the strong cultivators from the 7 Emotions sect are chasing you? Just trust me." Yang Chen immediately activated the Heavenly Dragon formation. He released his divine sense, pulling Jianluck into the inner space. He himself used stealth techniques and burrowed deep into the ground. He Fu was stunned. This kid has some tricks. What was that plate he used? What kind of treasure can contain fire? Though shocked, He Fu didn't have time to ponder, immediately starting a detailed search. After searching for a long time, He Fu was shocked. He couldn't find Yang Chen, and couldn't sense any residual energy. As expected of a human powerhouse, he has some methods. Knowing time was precious, He Fu released a full power attack, instantly entering another dimension. He chased after him. Less than an incense stick's time later, a space fluctuation appeared above where Yang Chen was hiding, and a black figure manifested. He must be hiding nearby. The black figure released its divine sense, but found nothing. The black figure felt something was wrong, so it released a greater area of divine sense, carefully searching even the smallest corners, but found nothing. Trying to fool me. The black figure concluded that He Fu was trying to trick him, to buy time. Enraged, the black figure forcibly tore through the space with its body. He flew rapidly, pursuing the direction. Yang Chen, hiding meters underground, sighed in relief, but he didn't dare relax or show himself. He waited, patiently waiting. 3 whole days passed. When his patience was almost gone, Yang Chen reluctantly revealed himself. Yang Chen was a little nervous revealing himself, as doing so caused a slight spatial fluctuation. However, nothing happened. Immediately, Yang Chen summoned the heaven-devouring dragon plate and quickly entered it. He appeared in Jianluck's inner space and took out a pill to restore his divine sense. Jianluck stopped him. "Brother, what's going on?" Jianluck was clearly anxious. Yang Chen wasn't sure, but had a guess. He whispered, "Li Shui, I suspect the Heavenly Gate Tower detected something unusual. Another powerful human force wants us dead. Brother, what should we do?" Jianluck asked urgently. Yang Chen shook his head. "Don't worry. The 2 adults from the Eastern Sun Palace are not ordinary people. They must have contacted the palace. Even if the 7 Emotions Sacred Hall sends out some strong cultivators, they won't act rashly if they don't see us." Yang Chen paused. "What we need to do is lay low. I don't believe the 7 Emotions Sacred Hall can control the whole Eastern continent. Let's cultivate. I plan to wait another month before we go out." With Yang Chen's plan, Jianluck felt relieved. For a month, Yang Chen and Jianluck focused on cultivation in the inner space. After restoring their divine sense and condition, Yang Chen took Jianluck to explore the vast inner space. 300 armored dragons shocked Jianluck, the weakest being at the gold level, many reaching the spirit realm. And Yang Chen hadn't yet refined the third divine skill of the heaven-devouring dragon plate. If he refined the third divine skill, he was certain the inner space would be able to receive even higher level energy. These 300 armored dragons could still evolve and improve. That day, Jianwuk refined a local spirit fruit and his physique slightly improved. Jianwuk saw his brother staring at the lake, so he nudged him. "Brother, it's been a month, are we leaving?" "Leaving?" Yang Chen snapped out of it. "Didn't the adults from the palace say to report within 3 months? Yang Chen released his divine sense to search the surface for anything unusual, but found nothing. To be safe, Yang Chen left Jianwuk in the inner space. He revealed himself. The moment he revealed himself, Yang Chen put away the dragon plate and used stealth techniques. It was a good thing Yang Chen was cautious. A strong cultivator at the spirit realm was hidden in the sky, carefully surveying his surroundings. However, after waiting another month, the spirit realm cultivator from the 7 Emotions Sacred Hall was clearly getting impatient. Yang Chen was moving slowly south deep underground, so they couldn't find him. Why was he going south? Yang Chen guessed the 2 adults from the Eastern Sun Palace would be heading east and west. The 7 Emotions Sacred Hall would be focused on those directions. He would find an opportunity in the south. Being overly cautious, Yang Chen burrowed for 3 days before showing himself. It took half a day to restore his divine sense before returning to the surface. Looking around, he was in a mountain forest, not knowing where he was. Yang Chen flew south and found a city within half an hour. Using the illusory true qi, Yang Chen looked like a middle-aged man with a yellowish face and a weary look. After a bit of inquiry, he learned this was Yulin City, under the jurisdiction of Jiangdu Prefecture. After a day, Yang Chen went to the teleportation shop and found nothing wrong. Due to his appearance, he was able to teleport to the main city. The fact that Yang Chen teleported to Zuiyin City prevented him from being noticed. Those who teleported to Jiangdu City were interrogated. Yang Chen was surprised. The power of the 7 Emotions Sacred Hall was stronger than he imagined. After arriving in Zuiyin City, Yang Chen didn't stop. He left the city and flew into the sky. He flew south. Zuiyin City was close to Changlin Prefecture. Yang Chen planned to reach Changlin City and then teleport to Daoyang City. He imagined the 7 Emotions Sacred Hall had deployed many powerful cultivators to Dongling, Changqing, Huanfeng, Wuhu, and Jiangdu prefectures. Only the prefecture cities could teleport to Daoyang City, so Yang Chen chose Changling. But as soon as he entered the teleportation shop in Changling City, Yang Chen sensed something was wrong. He changed his mind, teleporting to Hanlin City, and from Hanlin City, he flew to Chaoan Prefecture. After changing locations more than 10 times, he finally reached Demingfu City and successfully teleported to Daoyang City. The moment he entered the teleportation gate to Daoyang City, his heart finally relaxed. After paying for the teleportation, Yang Chen found the teleportation shop to be massive, 10 times the size of Demingfu cities. It had teleportation arrays to all prefectures of the eastern continent, and super teleportation arrays to other continents. Yang Chen quickly left the shop and discovered that at least a dozen divine senses, both overt and hidden, were locked onto him, probing him. Yang Chen didn't know if any of these people were from the 7 Emotions Sacred Hall, so he didn't reveal his true identity. Besides the teleportation shop, Yang Chen didn't have time to admire the city. He headed straight for his destination. The Tianji family was in the city. The only ones Yang Chen could trust were from his past life, but the Tianji family wasn't easy to approach. It was said that the young lady was in seclusion and their guards didn't give Yang Chen a chance. For some reason, the young lady had issued an order to refuse all visitors. This was a headache for Yang Chen. He had to stay in a hotel across from the Tianji family. He kept his divine sense locked onto the Tianji family's gate. After 5 days of waiting, Yang Chen gave up. Many cultivators entered and left the Tianji family, but none of them were familiar. In those 5 days, Yang Chen learned more about the Eastern Sun Palace. The Eastern Sun Palace was on the Eastern Sea. The palace wasn't on an island, but on a floating island in midair. The Eastern Sun Palace was enormous, with a large portion occupied by residences for instructors and students. Many influential families, like the Tianji family, also had residences there, along with various shops, hotels, and auction houses. It was a small, independent world. The floating island didn't have any restrictions. Any cultivator could enter via teleportation array. Once on the island, there were no restrictions on the various residences. However, the palace itself was heavily guarded. Only instructors and students were allowed to enter. Even relatives of the instructors could only enter the palace for a short time with permission. Returning to the teleportation shop, Yang Chen found thousands of people lining up to enter the floating island. Half an hour later, Yang Chen paid 2 high-grade spirit stones and entered the teleportation array. The moment he stepped into the teleportation array, Yang Chen was confused. The floating island is so easy to enter. Aren't they afraid of people from the 7 Emotions Sacred Hall infiltrating the island? Then, a moment later, Yang Chen understood. As soon as he landed, Yang Chen sensed something was wrong. The teleportation channel was unusual. He felt a strong sense of weightlessness. Given Yang Chen's physical strength, it took him a full 10 breaths to recover. Looking around, Yang Chen was shocked. It was a vast open-air teleportation plaza with many different teleportation gates. The plaza was also very high, with a circular shape. "Master, this is the legendary Stone Man Valley." Rong Lao exclaimed. Yang Chen immediately understood. No wonder the floating island was so easy to enter. The teleportation plaza was built in the Stone Man Valley. No way. Anyone with ill intentions will be instantly turned to dust by the stone men. Yang Chen was speechless. He had seen big things, but he was still shocked when he came out of the teleportation gate. So many strong cultivators. Yang Chen sensed at least 7 or 8 spirit realm cultivators. He lowered his profile. A teleportation guide wearing palace attire walked toward him. Yang Chen sensed the faint divine power radiating from the guide, a cultivator at the spirit realm. The guide said, "Young friend, you need to present some identification." Yang Chen nodded and handed his Donglin Martial Arts Academy badge to the guide. The guide scanned it with divine sense. The guide said with a smile, "You must be a new student. You came early." Yang Chen was surprised. He had traveled over tens of thousands of miles, almost going around the eastern continent to get here. The guide explained, "Normally, there's a 3-month grace period. New students come to the palace on those days. You're the first one. We can help you get your student badge." He also learned how to obtain his official badge. Yang Chen understood. The Eastern Sun Palace, as the highest authority in the eastern continent, had a very meticulous procedure. The guide pointed to a building nearby. "That's the teleportation department. Go there yourself, but the student badge is important. With it, you can move freely. Otherwise, the guards will arrest you. Thank you for your guidance." Yang Chen thanked him and headed for the teleportation department. The guide watched Yang Chen enter before turning away. The teleportation department was next to the Stone Man Valley. Anyone who landed on the teleportation plaza had to enter the teleportation department to verify their identity before they could enter. The real floating island. Everywhere else was heavily guarded. Inside the teleportation department, Yang Chen saw hundreds of receptionists. Almost every station was occupied. The reception stations were all set up along a wide, clean path. Yang Chen found a station with only a few people and took out his heaven-devouring dragon plate, releasing Jianwok. Luckily, Yang Chen was at the back of the line, so no one noticed when another person suddenly appeared beside him. Jianwok was shocked by what he saw. Yang Chen quickly explained what had happened. Jianwok sighed in relief. "We're finally safe in the Eastern Sun Palace." A moment later, Yang Chen and Jianwok entered the reception station. There was a simple registration counter, behind which was a beautiful receptionist wearing palace attire. The beauty had a small mole on her cheek. She looked at Yang Chen and Jianwok and softly said, "Please show me your identification and state your purpose for coming to the floating island." She looked at Jianwok, and Yang Chen handed his Donglin Martial Arts Academy badge to the receptionist. Jianwok did the same. The beauty looked at their badges, surprised. "You two are new students." Yang Chen and Jianwok nodded. "From the 12th area." The beauty thought for a moment. The 12th area should be led by instructor Chu Wei Chang and the Hifu father and son. They haven't returned yet. How did students arrive early? She was suspicious. "Are you 1-star students or 0-star students? How many points did you score?" Yang Chen was helpless. He didn't know how many points he had. Jianwok had no idea either. Seeing their expressions, the receptionist immediately became alert. She activated the communication device on her left hand, sending a message. "Also, if you don't know your scores, how did you pass the tests to become a student here?" Yang Chen hurriedly explained, "We were at the Heavenly Gate Tower that day." Before Yang Chen could finish, a slight spatial fluctuation appeared, and an old man with a blue robe appeared. "What's going on?" the old man asked. The receptionist respectfully said, "Greetings, Instructor Fu Lin. These two claim to be students from the 12th area, but they don't know their scores. The only identification they have is their Donglin Martial Arts Academy badges." The old man waved his hand to stop the receptionist, looked at Yang Chen and Jianwok, and asked, "Are you Yang Chen and Jianwok?" Yang Chen was surprised. How did he know their names? "Be careful," the old man said to the receptionist. "Get them their student badges." The confused receptionist said, "Instructor Fu Lin, get them their official student badges." But Fu Lin knew what the beauty was going to say, so he simply smiled, "Just get them their student badges. The information should be blank." Fu Lin looked a little impatient and quickly disappeared. The beauty truly looked at Yang Chen, then at Jianwok. She was more confused. "No way. They're giving them official student badges, with no information. That's against the rules. The palace has never done anything like this before. Do these two have some incredible background? But Fu Lin is known for being strict and just. How could he do something so illogical? Perhaps there's a conspiracy here. Despite his doubts, the beautiful woman gave Yang Chen and Jian Wuk the Eastern Yangdao Palace tokens, officially granting them entry without any information. The tokens contained very simple information, only their names. There was no cultivation information, no score, no credits. It was all very strange. After thanking the woman, Yang Chen and Jian Wuk left the teleportation point, truly entering the Eastern Yang Island. Looking into the distance, the magnificent buildings rose into the sky like a tide. Yang Chen thought to himself that in this strange place, without any relatives, everything would depend on him. The key was his identity token. He didn't have a single credit. He knew that to cultivate properly in Eastern Yangdao Palace, wealth was essential. There were many rare cultivation treasures he had never heard of, so he needed to find a way to earn wealth or credits. Eastern Yang Island was massive. Eastern Yangdao Palace was at the center, surrounded by countless training grounds. It took Yang Chen and Jian Wuk almost half a day to reach the entrance of the Eastern Yangdao Palace. They were stunned by what they saw. Was it really a door? It was meters wide and over meters tall. Even a few true dragons could pass through easily. Are all the students and instructors at the Dao Palace used to having dragons as their rides? Yang Chen wondered. Although the Dao Palace was majestic, a door this big was a little excessive, but not completely unacceptable. The gate was over meters tall. Above the gate, 6 words were carved, Eastern Yangdao Palace. Standing beneath such a gate, Yang Chen couldn't help but feel insignificant. Just as Yang Chen was in a daze, someone behind him chuckled. Shocking, isn't it? Yang Chen had sensed someone behind him, but he hadn't paid much attention. There were plenty of people at the gate of Eastern Yangdao Palace. Coming to Eastern Yang Island, visiting Eastern Yangdao Palace was a goal for many. Even if they couldn't enter, they wanted to see the strongest martial arts institution in the Eastern continent. It made them feel like they hadn't wasted their time. Yang Chen turned his head and saw a young man, about his age, standing to his left. The young man had handsome features, short hair, and a smiling face. However, the young man's smile was a bit arrogant and presumptuous. What caught Yang Chen's attention was not his face or his smile, but the long, unsheathed sword in the young man's hand. The red blade made people feel a chill. It was a spirit weapon that many cultivators yearned for. Why was this young man holding his weapon and swaggering around the entrance of the Eastern Yangdao Palace? Was he looking for trouble? Seeing Yang Chen look at his sword, the young man flicked it, making a clanging sound. He grinned and said, "Nice, huh?" Yang Chen frowned and didn't reply. This guy's a nutjob. The young man didn't mind Yang Chen's silence. He casually asked, "New students?" "Yes, we are. You two standing here like you've never seen anything before." "I bet you are new students." The young man seemed pleased with his deduction. Yang Chen was speechless. Judging from his tone and words, this guy wasn't here to cause trouble. Not knowing the young man's identity, but not finding him completely annoying, and knowing he had no knowledge of the Dao Palace, Yang Chen decided to make small talk. Eastern Yangdao Palace, Shi Dao Hall, 3rd-year student. Wu Zhenkai. The young man introduced himself, then asked, "And you?" "In Yang Chen, and this is my brother, Jian Wuk. We're both new students. Came early, huh? We wanted to see what the Dao Palace was like." "I guess so. It's rare for someone to come a month early. At this time, the new student enrollment hasn't started, so they might not be able to arrange anything for you." Wu Zhenkai casually replied, then went back to the previous topic. "Seeing our Dao Palace gate, did you feel small?" "A little. It's designed like this to make us students recognize how small we are. This is just the gate of the Dao Palace. If you feel small standing in front of the gate, then what about inside? The world inside is wider, more dangerous, and more interesting." His words seemed to hint at something. Yang Chen didn't ask further, instead asking what he was interested in. "Senior, are you back from vacation?" "Vacation?" Wu Zhenkai laughed. "Once you become a Dao Palace student, you need to be prepared to be away from your family for a long time. Here, if you don't want to die, you can't relax at any moment. This is the first lesson your senior is giving you. Thank you for the reminder, senior." Although Yang Chen didn't understand why there would be life-threatening danger at the Dao Palace, he thanked him politely. Seeing that Yang Chen was very polite, Wu Zhenkai said, "I have to go deliver a mission. I don't have time to accompany you. You can go to the Dao Palace's street to explore. Although you're here early, the Dao Palace shouldn't mind. Maybe they can arrange for you to stay there." Yang Chen didn't mind whether he lived in the Dao Palace or not. He just wanted to look around the Eastern Yangdao Palace to satisfy his curiosity. Moreover, meeting a powerful senior right after arriving at Eastern Yangdao Palace made Yang Chen even more interested. He had slightly sensed Wu Zenkai's cultivation. Although he couldn't determine his exact level, he estimated it to be at the spirit soul realm. At the gate, they checked their Dao Palace tokens, and Yang Chen and Jian Wuk entered the Dao Palace. The Dao Palace was huge. Even though Yang Chen had asked for directions from the gate to the reception area, he still had to ask several seniors before finally arriving at the so-called reception area. Why was it called a so-called reception area? Because the reception area of the Dao Palace was actually a cave. Moreover, the cave was wide open and there was no one there. Only the blurry words reception area carved above the cave entrance indicated that this was where Yang Chen needed to be. Standing at the cave entrance, Yang Chen hesitated for a while. He found it was empty inside. Is anyone here? Helpless, Yang Chen asked quietly. This was the Dao Palace after all. He couldn't just barge in. Suddenly, a strong energy wave erupted from the cave. A ball of flesh flew out like a cannonball. Redstone. Stop messing with me. A voice shouted from inside, followed by laughter. Yang Chen, who almost got hit by the meatball, turned his head and saw a fat old man, casually dodging while saying, "This woman's too hungry." Yang Chen and Jian Wuk hesitated after seeing that. The person inside was clearly in a bad mood. Would they be safe going inside now? Just as Yang Chen was hesitating whether to enter or leave, a cold voice came from the cave, "Come in." Yang Chen, a little apprehensive, looked at Jian Wuk beside him and cautiously entered the cave. The cave was spacious. Inside there was only a white-haired old woman sitting cross-legged on a cushion with her eyes closed. What is it? The white-haired old woman suddenly opened her eyes. Her cold gaze made Yang Chen and Jian Wuk tremble. "Teacher, hello. We are new students. Here are our student tokens." The white-haired old woman didn't even look at their tokens and coldly said, "It's not the enrollment time yet." Before she could say get lost, she received a divine message and immediately stood up. After taking Yang Chen and Jian Wuk's student tokens, her attitude changed completely. She said in a friendly tone, "You're from the testing ground." Yang Chen nodded. "Not bad," she praised. As she registered their information, she casually asked, "Are you an all-attribute physique?" "It's okay. Not a bad talent." The white-haired old woman, whose attitude was now completely different, took out a roll of animal hide and started registering Yang Chen and Jian Wuk. She then said kindly, "You two wait a moment. I'll arrange for someone to take you to the Yu family residence to settle down temporarily. As for your new student dorms, they will be arranged after the start of the term." "Thank you, teacher," Yang Chen quickly said. Soon after, a big-head middle-aged man entered the cave and excitedly said, "Shigu, I came as soon as I received the message." "What's the matter?" Pointing at Yang Chen and Jian Wuk, the white-haired old woman said, "Take these two to Zhan Xan building and settle them properly." The middle-aged man was stunned. He seemed to think he had heard wrong. He asked again, "To Zhan Xin building." The white-haired old woman glared at the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man then realized that the background of these two new students must be extraordinary. Otherwise, Chi Gu wouldn't have asked him to settle them in Zhan Xin building. It was a very important place of the Yu family. Even the Yu family's descendants found it hard to enter. The middle-aged man quickly agreed and enthusiastically said to Yang Chen and Jian Wuk, "Please, follow me." After leaving the reception area, Yang Chen and Jian Wuk chatted with the middle-aged man, who was leading them to Yu family town. The middle-aged man's name was Yu Dahai, a cultivator of the Yu family. Because of his connection to Chi Gu, the white-haired old woman at the reception area, the Yu family could get some information from the Dao Palace and barely maintain their family. Yang Chen was very curious. He could sense that Yu Dahai's strength was not weak. Even compared to the princess, Ying Qingfan, he shouldn't be too far behind. "Uncle Yu, you should be a cultivator at the Dao Palace, right?" Yang Chen asked curiously. Yu Dahai shook his head. He had been happy, but after Yang Chen asked, he became a bit depressed. Strange. Such a powerful cultivator, even though he's not a full-fledged instructor, why can't he join the Dao Palace? Yu Dahai didn't explain, and led Yang Chen and Jian Wuk out of the Dao Palace, heading straight to Yu Family Town. Yu Family Town was located miles west of the Dao Palace, not too far. Soon, the three arrived at Yu Family Town. This was the first town Yang Chen had seen on the eastern Yang Island, and he was very curious. Yu Family Town wasn't too big, with over 1,000 buildings of various styles. There were restaurants, pagodas, wooden buildings, the styles of which were different from anything Yang Chen had seen before. Under Yu Dahai's guidance, Yang Chen and Jian Wuk arrived at an old-fashioned stone courtyard. As they got closer to the seemingly ordinary courtyard, Yang Chen was shocked. The wooden door, stone walls, and even the air above the courtyard were full of powerful restrictions. After Yu Dahai opened the restriction, Yang Chen felt a strange power entering his body as soon as he stepped into the courtyard. This strange power entered his body continuously and silently merged into his bones. Instantly, his bones felt warm and comfortable. Yang Chen even had the urge to lie down and take a nap. Yang Chen, Jin Wok, you two rest here. You can find me at the tavern on the east side of town later, Yu Dahai said. Okay, thank you, Uncle Yu. After seeing Yu Dahai off, Yang Chen wandered around the small courtyard, smiling. Little K, the small courtyard isn't simple. The energy entering our bodies and being absorbed by our bones is very pure. It must be beneficial to our meridians. No wonder it's called Zhan Xin building. They say it's a yang energy place, but there's no building here. After entering the room, Yang Chen sat relaxed on a stone platform and said seriously, Little K, I have a feeling that, after entering the Dao Palace, our fates will undergo a tremendous change. Maybe we won't have much free time soon. Jin Wuk knew what his brother was trying to say and replied seriously, isn't it just fighting? Brother, we've cultivated all these years, it's time for some bloodshed. Yang Chen sighed. Our cultivation is still too low. Let alone entering the interdimensional battlefield, I'm afraid we don't even have the qualifications to be cannon fodder. The next step is to improve our cultivation, strength, and of course, make money. But this is Eastern Yang Island. The cultivation treasures that are rare outside are common here. Perhaps only some treasures obtained from the outer regions can be considered true treasures. If we want to make money, there were three main ways to make money. Weapon forging, talisman making, and pill refining. In terms of weapon forging, although Yang Chen had good skills and possessed rare techniques like small chapter illusion forging, multiple life forging, and soul sealing forging, they were too valuable to be sold and couldn't be revealed, otherwise people would trace him back and think he obtained Eastern Master's inheritance. That would bring endless trouble. He hadn't spent much time on talisman making. Even his blackwood arrows were due to the special spirit of the Eastern Emperor Bell. No other options, only pill refining left. Starting a shop or selling contracts was not in Yang Chen's plan at all.